planes drop the bombs, the people perish. Drone strikes and missiles make lives living hell. Life is the one thing we all should cherish, instead of waging war, pushing more weapons to sell. Explosions and shrapnel keep inhabitants in fear. As they occupy these war zones, their last breaths draw near. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to my channel, Stop Effing Killing. I'm your host, the MOD, also known as the Method of Delivery. Please like, share, and subscribe if you find anything that resonates with you. So today's topic is, when is enough enough? Again, when is enough enough? When I talk about when is enough enough, I'm saying, when will we get our fill of all this gratuitous violence in our cities, communities, states, countries, and towns? When will we get enough of war? When will we get enough of that? I'm going to briefly talk about 3 incidents that happened in our world history that are, even though they happened at different time periods in history and at different places, they're all interconnected. First was Russian Bloody Sunday of 1905, where just common everyday citizens were tired of being mistreated, used, and abused by their governments. So they protested, they demanded, they went to their government in peaceful protest and demanded better treatment, better wages, better salary, a future for their family. They were met with gunfire, they were met with violence by the Russian military. And many of those protesters died, many were injured, they sacrificed their lives. But this protest, Bloody Sunday of 1905, led to a revolution. And that revolution led to the end of the Romanov rule. Tsar Nicholas II and his entire family were unalived, unfortunately, but he was taken from power. This brought about changes in Russia for a better Russia, for the common people. And those people united regardless of race, creed, color, sex, religion, socioeconomic status. They united and became as one for a better future. When you talk about the troubles of Ireland, 30 years of fighting from about 1968 to 1998. 30 years of fighting over religious affiliation, political ideology, just differences. These two sides, they're fighting in Ireland. There are bombings, kidnappings, shootings, and just all types of violence going on in this country. And finally, somebody on both sides said, you know what? This is stupid. We're human beings. Of course, the sides involved were, whether they were Protestant or Catholic or, whatever their religious affiliation was, or whether their loyalty was to Great Britain or not, they put all that stuff aside just for a second and said, okay, there can be peace here. We can have peace after 30 years of fighting, 30 years of brutality, and 30 years of urban warfare. They came to a peace accord known as Good Friday Agreement. Now, the agreement wasn't perfect, but they put all those differences aside because they realized we're human beings. We're not going to agree on everything. And nobody's going to get everything they want, but one thing that we can strive for is peace. Here in the United States, from about 1954 to 1968, you had the Civil Rights Movement. African Americans were being beaten, abused, tortured, many of them unalived, being mistreated by, their federal, state, and local governments. It was okay to be discriminated against at the time. It was legal to be discriminated against, to be incarcerated for no reason. I mean, there was terrible times here. You had terrorist organizations like the Ku Klux Klan going out and torturing, unaliving, and intimidating African American citizens, members of this country, people who were born here, But at some point, somebody said enough is enough. blacks, whites, Asians, Hispanics, Christians, Catholics, Muslims. People came together and said enough is enough. People of color need to be treated with the same respect and dignity as any other race in this country. Now, the Civil Rights Act, it wasn't perfect, and we still have racism in this country and sexism and, discrimination and crime against, members of the LGBTQ community, but it was a start. It was a start towards peace. We've backslid some due to the current president and administration in the United States. However, somebody somewhere said enough. And so that is my question to you today. I propose to you, all who watch this video, who hear my voice, when will we say enough is enough? There are things that we can do to push back against this nonsense. When we hear people just blatantly lying on TV and demonizing groups of people, don't watch their shows, don't watch their contents. When you see advertisers on their shows, don't buy their products. Speak with money. Talk with your money. Talk with our numbers. We can push back against all of this stuff. We can. We have outlets. We have ways to do it, but we have to do it together in this fight. We have to let our president know that, hey, it's not okay for, Israel to, shoot people who are just trying to get food, if that reporting is true, or to bomb a prison in Iran when you're supposed to be under a peace accord. We have to let our president and that administration know that we have to hold these people accountable. This isn't an easy fight. Peace has never been easy. Anything that's valuable is always hard to obtain. But we can do it, and we can do it together. This concludes my video for today. It's simply a rant that even though we're all different in many aspects, we're still the same in that we're all human beings. And it has been proven throughout history that when we unite and stand and fight for one thing as a whole, as a unit, that we can achieve whatever it is we put our minds to collectively. Because in this battle, in this fight for peace, there is no you, there is no me, there is only we, and we must stop the effing killing. And my condolences to those firefighters and their families who lost their lives due to gratuitous violence in Idaho, as well as those souls in Iran who lost their lives due to Israel's attack, and as well as in Ukraine, where they were a victim of a massive drone and missile strike by Russia. My condolences go out to those individuals, as well as any individual who's been a victim of gratuitous violence in our world. Thank you, and have a safe day.